12 Strong is a war movie that tells the remarkable true story of the horse soldiers. Now, I didn't really know anything about this movie going into it. I had no idea that this was a true story. I didn't know something as insane as this actually happened. So obviously I went into the movie with a lot of questions, really wondering exactly what the story is, what it has to do with the 9/11 attacks. I gotta say, as far as 12 Strong goes as a movie, there are things I liked and things I didn't like. First of all, I will say, the story is insane, it's crazy, it's amazing something like this actually happened. I love that the movie does show us that. The movie basically starts out, you see a lot of these soldiers have returned home from duty, they're just spending time with their families, and then of course I see on TV the Twin Towers, you know, being destroyed by the terrorists. You know, they see all the damage that's being caused, all the innocent people that have been killed, and of course, instantly they're just like, we gotta stop these guys. We cannot let them do this again. Because immediately the US military is all like, they just did this once, they're going to do this again. They're not gonna stop unless we do something. This results in a group of 12 soldiers that's led by Chris Hemsworth going back to Afghanistan to join forces with the Afghanistan military to essentially bring down Al-Qaeda, to unleash the wrath of God onto them as much as they can so they can stop them from essentially doing what they've been doing. At least, you know, able to hinder them. Enough to at least put a wrench in Al-Qaeda's plan so they aren't able to perform the kind of terrorist attack again that they did on 9/11. And one of the areas that I do like seeing that the movie does touch on is the effect that war has on soldiers' families. I mean, you see it in particular with Chris Hemsworth and two other soldiers played by Michael Shannon and Michael Pena. You know, they have wives and kids back at home, and of course, you know, the kids are afraid their father's not going to come back, their wives are afraid that they're not going to come back. And the movie touches on how there are some families like Michael Pena's that's a little bit more used to it. They know what they got into, and the fact that Michael Pena is a soldier. And then it touches on Chris Hemsworth and his family, you know, his wife and their daughter, you know, they're afraid he's not gonna come back, so, you know, they have to pull the whole, it's like, please promise us that you'll come back, and he does promise, yes, I will come back. And then it touches on Michael Shannon and his family, and, you know, his family, you know, he has some kids that are a little bit older, his wife's obviously been with him for a very long time. And, you know, the fact that a lot of these soldiers just came back from war, him in particular, and now they're going right back to war, it has the family wondering, it's like, what is your first love? Is it us? Or is it the military? I really like that the movie explored that aspect with the families, because there are times when soldiers will come home from war or come home from duty, whenever it is, and they're expected to be home for a while, you know, long enough to really spend time with their family and their loved ones, but immediately, you know, a global catastrophe like 9/11, for example, could happen, and the soldier's gonna get called right back to duty. It's an area that I felt was definitely important that the movie should touch on, and it did just that. But now we get into Afghanistan itself, and I gotta say, this is where the movie was starting to show some of its flaws that I had with it. Because the movie is called 12 Strong. The reason it's called 12 Strong is because the movie is about these 12 soldiers, led by Chris Hemsworth's character anyway. They went to Afghanistan. They hindered Al-Qaeda's plan in, you know, performing the terrorist acts that they were going to do. And then Chris Hemsworth made the promise to all the soldiers, like, we're going to go in, we're going to do this job, and we're all going to go home. And miraculously, all the soldiers did indeed return home alive. But one of the issues that I had is the fact that the movie is called 12 Strong. It's about these 12 soldiers who did everything that they did. The movie doesn't really focus on the 12 of them. Seriously, though, it's Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, and Michael Pena. Those are the three that the movie really focuses on. The other 9 soldiers, I can't really remember anything about them. I don't remember the actors who played them. I don't really remember any of the traits that these characters showed. I don't like that the movie did that. Like I've always said, if a movie is going to center around the team, give everyone in the team a moment to shine, give us a chance to care about everyone. And really, the movie gives you the 3 that you should care about, and everyone else is just, you know, around. And that was kind of the bummer for me. Like when they're going on these missions where they're, you know, making these attacks against Al-Qaeda and they're having these war scenes and they're doing what they're doing, at no point was I really on the edge of my seat or was I really white knuckling to these scenes that were happening as I normally do in war movies, because I mean, 1, the scenes aren't as intense as maybe I would have liked them to be, and 2, there's only a few characters that I really care about. The other ones could have died in this movie, and I wouldn't have felt it. And the movie tries to get you to care about some of the other soldiers. Like, there's this other small little plot point. One of the other soldiers, you know, one of the lesser ones that I'm saying that I can't really remember, the movie tries to make it that one of these little Afghanistan boys is forming a bond with him, you know, trying to form a friendship with him, and at first the soldier's kind of annoyed that the kid's following him everywhere, and then eventually, you know, he grows to care for the kid. It's meant to be one of those, you know, character development kind of stories, but really at no point did I care about the bond that this soldier had with the kid. nor did I ever really care about the kid himself. I'm just saying, if that small little storyline was taken out of the movie entirely, the movie would seriously be no different. But what I do like that the movie did touch on when they are in Afghanistan is that there is some tension between this U.S. troop of soldiers and the Afghanistan militia that they're allied with. You know, the one that's trying to, you know, defeat Al-Qaeda. You know, they have the same goal, they have the same purpose, they want to bring these fuckers down, but obviously they have different morals about military and about life, about a lot of things. You know, there are moments when Chris Hemsworth and the general of this militia, they're really butting heads with each other. You know, they're kind of arguing about how they should approach these different situations. And I like that the movie did touch on that, because it's two militaries, obviously of different cultures. They want the same thing, but because of their beliefs, they're not going to agree on it all the time, and it makes for some tension-filled moments in the movie. And the movie also does a good job at reminding us just how fucked up Al-Qaeda, how fucked up the Taliban are. You know, they're murdering these women who are teaching girls over the age of 5 education because, you know, it's against the religion law. Don't get me wrong, that scene was intense. It made me sick to my stomach, and of course, it makes you want to root even harder for these soldiers to put bullets in these guys' asses. But I don't feel the movie necessarily needed to have that scene in it, because the movie's obviously about these 12 soldiers that are going after the Taliban for what they did in 9/11. We know how fucked up these people are. We already knew that. I feel like that scene was just meant to serve as a reminder. It's like, oh yeah, these people are terrible, just in case you forgot. It's like, no, we didn't have any trouble remembering, don't worry. And now getting to the actual war scenes, the battle scenes, when, you know, the U.S. militia and the Afghanistan army are, you know, attacking Al-Qaeda every way that they can. As I mentioned before, these scenes, they're well shot, they're well done. They are, I'm trying to think of the word I should use. They're not necessarily enjoyable, but they're not like super intense. They're moderately intense. There you go. I mean, obviously it's crazy seeing the situation unfold. It's amazing seeing what these US soldiers did, basically with just horses and some guns. But like I said, these aren't the most intense action scenes that I've ever seen in a war movie. I mean, I've seen some really intense shit in war movies. When I see a battle go down in a war movie, I want it to affect me. I want it to hit me where I live. I want to walk out of the movie being like, yeah, I'm not going to be okay for a little while. I want it to have that impact on me, and it didn't. And then essentially the movie wraps up. You know, they've done what they needed to do. They weakened Al-Qaeda. They've accomplished their mission, and all 12 soldiers are able to return home, which was the craziest thing because, you know, obviously you go into war, there are very good chances that maybe none of them would make it out alive. And they all somehow, by some miracle, made it out alive. So all in all, I will say, 12 Strong was a fine movie. The cast in this movie, particularly Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, and Michael Pena, they do a good job for what they need to do. I mean, this isn't the best I've seen any of them, but they do what they need to do, and they do it fine. I mean, the story itself is insane. I'm glad that I learned of a story like this that actually happened. The action, like I said, does its job for what it needed to do. That being said, the action in this movie isn't as tense as I would have liked it to be. The movie doesn't really touch on the other 9 soldiers as much as I would have liked it to. The movie also was kind of predictable. As I was watching it, I was like, okay, we're gonna have a battle scene. You know, the militia and the U.S. Army, they're gonna talk, they're gonna work out their differences. We're gonna have another battle scene, and we're just gonna keep going until the movie ends. That's how I realized the movie was gonna go at a certain point, and yeah, it basically did that. And in the end, I appreciate this movie being made to tell us the story of these soldiers and what they did, but it's not going to go down as one of the greatest war movies I've ever seen in my life. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.